Rusty Quill presents.
Welcome to Ain't Slayed Nobody. This is an actual play podcast intended for adults, and may contain material that some people find disturbing. Please see the episode notes for content warnings, and listen with care. Hey, this is Cupp, here to let you know that The Between is coming to BackerKit September 24th. The ultimate version will include 3 physical books and a whole lot more. Sign up for pre-launch right now at slade.me/hunter.
I suppose I could destroy him.
The hedge is high, nobody would see.
But on the other hand, he is such an entertaining antagonist that I'm loath to do so. Similarly, I'm loath to make him a member of my cult because I prefer having him as an irritation. I think then I'll ignore him and look around and see whether he is accompanied by any uniformed officers or...
He's not. This is strictly him. Following his instincts, as it were.
Oh, very well, dear Pettigrew. You have quite worn me down with your dogged nature. Perhaps if you really want to learn what happened the other night, I could take you on a little tour of the house and show you exactly what happened.
Ah, now we're getting somewhere. I see that my persistence has finally worn down your imperious facade, Mr. Melmoth.
Yes, I believe that it is your very nature to wear people down.
Thank you, Mr. Melmoth. I take that as a compliment. And I shall pay back a compliment in kind. You are the kind of person who knows when they're beat, and I admire that.
Indeed, indeed.
And he gives an after you sort of gesture, and you can go inside.
Yes, and I'll just point at a few places and say, and of course, this is where we saw the apparition, and I believe it wanted something. I can't remember precisely what, but I believe that most of the trouble occurred in Mr. Beals's office, though I can't remember precisely where that is.
Okay, so Ms. Archer, where are you headed after you're done with Mr. Kessler? You'll going back to Hargrave House, or what are you up to?
I don't have to meet Ms. Welcome till the evening, right?
Did you want to go back to the Greco?
I think so, yeah, to that purple tent, yeah.
Mr. Kessler, what about you? What are you going to do next?
Before they parted ways, I do think that he was being extremely annoying to Ms. Archer, like, oh, what about her? What about him?
It's just not a matter of taste. All I need is a functioning member or hands. Either are fine. You know, it's just, I'm not that picky at this point.
That's exactly what she needed to say to shut him up. I think, though, for the next bit, he's going to maybe poke his nose where he shouldn't be at this moment and look into the Pinkerton a little bit more. If he could go to the hotel.
Oh, the Langham. Okay, very good.
Yeah, the Langham, and kind of snoop around there, maybe stake it out a little bit.
I like that. Yeah, he'll never see it coming, right? he just shot you, and now you showed up at his where he's staying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good, I love it. Okay, so that will be where the two of you are. We do have to pick up with Moyra in a moment. Let's do Ms. Archer, though. Purple Silk Tent, the place where Greco, the second-sided boy, can give you insights into your future. When you step inside, it's quite dark, lit only by a few candles on a table that has been draped with a velvet cloth embroidered with silver stars and moons and things like that. And sitting across the table is Greco, the second-sided boy. He is really more like Greco, the second-sided young man, wearing mystical, we'll say, face paint. He has a jewel affixed to his forehead representing his third eye. And as soon as you step in and see him, he speaks to you. His gaze seems to settle like a little bit beyond you, like he's not looking directly at you. And his voice has a vacant, kind of distant sound. And he says, "Welcome, Viola Archer. Please, sit."
Wordlessly, Viola sits down across from him.
"So, what sort of guidance do you seek, Ms. Archer?"
Well, I'm currently on the trail of several creatures, and as always, on the trail of one in particular.
"You arrive here on a tide of blood, but I think you know that already.
I do.
A tide of blood that stretches back generations, in fact. You have mixed feelings about this?"
No, I have a singular feeling.
"How can I help you, Miss Archer?"
I seem to have come to a bit of a stalling point in my pursuit of one creature. I could use some guidance into how to start that up again.
I see in the periphery of your vision several possibilities. I see one that claims the sea as its home, or at least pretends to. I see another as old as the earth itself, drenched in blood. I see a third, one that has vexed you and yours for many generations. Something that gnarls and blackens the roots of your family tree. A rogues gallery of the monstrous.
Yes, well, not the path I would have chosen for myself, but here we are.
Miss Archer, are you willing to let me take a look inside? To tell you what you might have seen, but not realized you saw?
My dear boy, if you are brave enough to peer in, then who am I to dissuade you?
Very well then. Take my hands. And he stretches his hands out.
Viola takes them.
His hands are very soft. And he clasps them around your hands. And he begins to speak. His words lull. His words make soft and fuzzy the edges of your consciousness. His words wriggle their way inside your head. And eventually, you hear them, even when he is not moving his mouth. Let's cut back over to Miss Ennis. Miss Ennis, there's blood dripping on the bar.
Yes. I was going to ask. Because I failed the roll, right?
You got a miss, yeah.
Yeah, I got a miss. So could I use a mask here, a Janus mask?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can. It'll give you a clue. And I'll just say instead, you see the drips, you think it's blood, but you realize it's not. It's just like rust-colored water from the pipes or something up above.
Okay.
And you also get a clue, which I'll give you.
I'd love to, you know what, I'm going to revise. I think she actually wrote a note, and I'm going to bump up how risky this is because she leaves it with the bartender, whatever. And I think she actually gives the Hargrave House address.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, that's fun. I like that. Yeah, that's really good. Let's talk about your clue that you're going to find.
Okay.
So you had been talking to Franklin Horsford, asking about this sailor, and I think he's going to just sort of say something like inadvertently that gives you an insight into the Limehouse lurker, even though that's not what you were looking for. You do stumble on it, basically.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I think what he tells you is, after he's kind of like gently making fun of you about asking about for a specific sailor, without much more detail than he's a sailor, he does then say, actually, business has been a little bit slow ever since they found that Chinese sailor dead behind the alley. So that's something you already know, though. And then Elma Thorpe says, and that's just the one they found, suggesting there are more dead sailors.
Where did they put the body? How do you know there's more?
And Elma and Franklin give each other a conspiratorial look. And Elma stands up and she pulls the blanket tighter around her shoulders. And she says, many of those sailors are found dead on their ships.
Oh, that's dreadful.
Yes, well, and then Franklin says, well, it's not for us to concern ourselves with. Jenny Johnston says she's got the matter in hand. I'm sure business will be back to normal very, very soon.
Is that the person who came to us with this?
Yeah, that's the opium den owner. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. If you do see him, please give him the note.
Aye, I will.
Thank you for your time. You might want to consider redecorating these. And I think she like kind of grabs a net and just like pulls it off the wall.
Not into the fishing net. Yeah.
These smell. I'll just take this and walks out with the net.
Very good, very good. They're probably dime a dozen here, but fantastic. That was your clue, though. Your clue is that the lurker's been like hunting on ships as they pull in. So these 3 bodies they found in Limehouse were just the outliers, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Kessler, where did we leave you?
I was going to the hotel.
Oh, that's right. You're going to the hotel, the Langham. Yeah.
Reconnaissance mission.
Mm-hmm. What's your plan? Are you going to like watch from the outside first? Are you going to go straight into the hotel? Like, what's your approach here?
Well, I'm going to survey to see if he's around. I'll be pretty thorough with that. If I don't see him, I think I'm actually going to get a room so that I can kind of keep an eye on the lobby and be hanging around, going through his rubbish, things like that.
This afternoon over in the West End is really quite... this is the sort of scene that I think like you maybe originally thought you were running away to when you ran to London. There's just a press of humanity all around here. Sights, sounds, smells from all over the world. There's a lot of like entertainment going on in the streets. There's a barbershop quartet from New York City performing a delightful rendition of Tramp, 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 which was, of course, popular during the recently concluded American Civil War. And there's probably somebody waiting to greet you at the entrance to the hotel as you sort of like, you said you were going to the lobby, right?
Yeah.
And you see hotel staff dashing to and fro, great piles of luggage everywhere, a pair of gentlemen in comfy lobby chairs sort of enwrapped in conversation. It's a nice scene. Let's paint the scene, everyone. This hotel is one of the newer hotels in the city. What do you see that shows how they are putting their best foot forward? Apart from all the stuff I've already said.
There are gold railings, like around the front desk, and the banisters made of gold. It's stunning.
There are a lot of very helpful uniformed, like, bellhop and like, whatever the female equivalent of a bellhop is, kind of, like, busying themselves. There's always someone kind of at your arm if you have a question.
There is a thick shag-pile carpet on the ground, a very luxurious-looking carpet by the entrance, which is the kind of thing that it's almost impossible to keep clean, and yet somehow they do.
There's a red rope that cordons off to make sure that only who they allow and deem worthy enough to enter their establishment is allowed in.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Kessler, I think, though, they have set up in the lobby. There's a photographer who's set up taking photos. You know, he's got his whole like setup there, and there's a little like couch and drapery, you know, for like families to have their picture taken, which is a really even still, you know, is a very novel sort of thing to do, right?
Yes.
And I think there's a number of people who like want you in the picture. So
amazing.
It's like pulling you over, you know, like.
I feel like during the walk through the West End, I picked up like a cane and a top hat.
Yeah, I think there's something about your particular je ne sais quoi, your appearance that is really.
Yeah. And I'll be shaking hands like, Barrett Barlow. Yes, I hail from the States.
Yeah. Good effort to blend in, I think, is really going well here. In terms of the investigation and figuring out what's going on with Winslow Taggart, what do you do?
Well, if I can get a room, I just had all those gambling winnings, so I'm going to try to get a room for the week.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll be watching the lobby, like, you know, have the newspaper and pull it down as, you know, trying to see him coming and going, and also talking to the staff, trying to figure out what exactly he's doing here.
I'll give you the role later.
Okay.
This might be the kind of thing that you learn in the course of time.
Yeah.
But it's a good plan. I like it. Good scene. That feels like a pretty good conclusion to Mr. Kessler's, at least, scenes in the day phase. Ms. Ennis, I think yours are probably also wrapped up. Ms. Archer, I've got one more thing to do with you, and also Mr. Melmoth. Let's pick up with Mr. Melmoth. Mr. Melmoth, I'd like to paint the scene at this point. The Beals have been gone for a week. We can see still the destruction of that night. Things smashed. They haven't even taken up that piece of frayed rope. It's still there, but there's a little note card next to it. And of course, D.I. Pettigrew's makes a point of saying, be very, very careful, don't disturb anything. We're still analyzing this scene, right? But of course, we will appreciate your insights, Mr. Melmoth. And there's a sense of emptiness in terms of like the family. And yet, my question for everyone is, how does the absence of the Beals actually make the home feel more settled?
On previous visits here, there's been a sound of perhaps water moving through the pipes and the house settling that is not currently happening.
Without the sounds of other people's footsteps and voices, you can actually hear the sounds of birds outside. You can hear nature coming through that you just didn't notice before in the home.
I feel like also the last few times that we've been here, in addition to the footsteps, there was just a tense kind of nervous energy of all the people that were there. And so now that that's not there, whoever's in the house right now, it's Sebastian, who's just unbothered by everything. Like, that's kind of the energy that begins to kind of like suffuse the spaces that they're in.
The windows have been replaced because I believe they were all broken, and there's just sunlight beaming in, kind of bathing all the furniture.
Oh.
Mr. Melmoth, I think your plan of going to Harold Beale's office is a good one, and D.I. Pettigrew won't stop you. So we can proceed with that if that's okay. You get into the office, which is on the second floor, and there's a desk, which Harold Beale probably paid too much money for. There's like a tall, like, filing cabinet off to one side. I think he's got all sorts of, like, the decor is very, like, tartan wallpaper, you know, outdoor man of the woods vibe, right? And he has a painting that has a dog and a whistle in it, so, you know.
Wow.
Paint the scene, everyone. As Mr. Melmoth looks around, and I'm not even convinced Mr. Melmoth would notice these things, but maybe we do. How do we know Harold Beale is very, very bad at business and managing financials?
There are ledgers on the desk, but the math is so bad. There's just like, they seem like it's something that his business partners let him do on his own, like a coloring book essentially, but like they're useless.
There's a spike on his desk with a whole pile of unpaid invoices just overflowing from it.
There's like a closet that can't close fully because it is full of suits that are like untouched, just suits like he just can't stop buying them despite obviously needing to not spend. The door cannot close. That's how many there are in there.
That's like me and overpriced floral shirts. Oh my God. I've never seen a $60 floral shirt that I could say no to. Like,
Adding to Scott's point, I think that if you arrive at the office, there are actually debt collectors waiting outside, like 2 or 3 just waiting at the door when you arrive.
D.I. Pettigrew's, they're rooting the whole like cat and mouse vibe going on here with D.I. Pettigrew and Mr. Melmoth. Mr. Melmoth, what do you do while you're in there?
I half-heartedly look around and just say to D.I. Pettigrew, my colleagues had a look around here earlier, and I must admit they found some quite fascinating things. But if I'm honest, such investigation is beyond me. I have no head for these things. I rely very much on the acuity and wisdom of others. But a man such as yourself, D.I. Pettigrew, you, in your exploration of this office, you must have found many wonders.
You can go ahead and make the information move with presence for buttering him up. And I don't even know if you have any conditions. No, most beloved won't affect it, so.
Okay. Okay. No, it's still a success. It's an 8, however.
It's an 8. Oh, good. I have an idea here. I think that D.I. Pettigrew slowly turns away from you, closes the door, and he says with his back turned, I wasn't sure if we'd ever have a chance to be alone with each other.
Ah.
Mr. Melmoth, how do you know you're in the presence of the ghost?
I think it's just because the timbre of the voice has changed completely. If I remember correctly, the ghost was a woman.
Well, we haven't really said with any precision, though we have seen female apparitions, yeah.
And so I think his voice suddenly sounds quite feminine.
Oh, good. So it's like D.I. Pettigrew's voice drops to more of a feminine register. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Here's your clue. D.I. Pettigrew, you noticed it shortly after walking in, and now you can see it very, very particularly. He has in his left hand a square of red silk. It's far too fancy for someone like D.I. Pettigrew. And he keeps twisting it around in his fingers, and as he talks in the voice of the ghost, it becomes more frantic. There's something there. There's some kind of attachment. There's some kind of connection. There's some kind of anchor for the ghost here in this. That's what you'll observe. But of course, now you're in a locked room with the ghost. Ms. Archer, Greco continues. Well, first of all, I'd like to go ahead and give you the opportunity to do the information move with sensitivity to see how this goes.
Okay. That's a 6. Okay.
Okay, well, hold that thought. He says, in your mind, Ms. Archer, every woman in my family, going back generations, has the ability to do what I'm doing right now. I have my own legacy, Ms. Archer. But there are things that I can do that they can't do. They can open the doors of your memory, as I am doing right now, as I am looking into the salons of your memory, drenched in blood and filial duty. They cannot walk through the doors. I can. I can walk through the doors. I can close them. I can close them and lock them and ensure that no one can follow behind. And he does this. You can feel him walking into the doors of your memories and closing the metaphorical door. And you forget something. He says, "How interesting, the corridors of your past, walking amongst them. I think perhaps I can help you reconcile. I have the ability to take away all of the pain and expectation. You are getting an incredible service for your contribution to my cup. Take a condition called the closed doors. This is a special condition. So long as you have it, you do not have access to the mask of the past."
Ooh.
Is this because of the miss?
At least in part, yeah. The only difference is you'll get a clue as well, but you still are stuck with this condition.
Oh, so I couldn't even turn a mask of the past to...
That's not going to stop this, yeah. You get the condition no matter what, but if you bump it, you get a clue also.
It's probably worth it for the clue, honestly. Blah. Yeah, so... Oh, no.
Take the closed door, and he guides you with his voice to a parlor in your mind, atop which are pedestals, atop which each of the pedestals is a representation of one of the active threads. And he wants to know, which thing do you want to be shown?
Goodness gracious. I feel like I would want to, if I say she wants to be shown, so it has to be one of the active threats. It can't be, because the beast isn't currently on the...
No.
Okay, then I think that she would, her eyes would kind of fall on the representation of the Limehouse Lurker.
Very well. He shows you something that you saw, but you didn't give it any meaning at the time. But it has meaning. And the thing that he shows you is, it was nighttime. It was a boy. Exceedingly pale and polite little boy. Being very, very kind to an elderly woman, helping her cross the street to avoid being trampled by a carriage. That might not have stuck out to you for any reason, except when you look back, you don't see the boy at all, and there's no way he could have walked or ran away that fast. But the clue is that the lurker was showing particular fondness and affection for the elderly.
Okay. God, I think this Limehouse Lurker has got Viola all fucked up. Okay, cool. So that information kind of settles on her, and they're in this kind of like imagined space together. I think that she'll turns back to Greco, and I think that she'll say, "This is quite a gift that you have. And I do appreciate the offer. Of course, I cannot stop you from closing doors, but I do need that pain for a bit longer. I do need that expectation. I need that. So if you'd like to take something else, you're more than welcome to. But I also may have need of your skills. So if it is simply a matter of closing doors, I think that I can provide you with many other minds in which to do that."
You snap out of the sort of half trance that you're in, this fugue state, and he says, "I am not here to bargain, Miss Archer. I have done as you have asked." And then he taps his cup in expectation of payment.
Viola's going to hold out her palm. She'll put one of the blades Schatten into her hand. She'll put like a bunch of coin on top of the blade. She'll close her hand, quickly remove the blade so that she's got this fistful of blood-covered money, and she'll just go ahead and dump that in his cup.
So dramatic.
Nice.
There you are.
I love it. We'll wrap up with Mr. Melmoth really quick here. Mr. Melmoth, you're locked in a room with D.I. Pettigrew, temporarily the St. James's Street ghost. I think I want to just do the day move to generally guide the scene. What do you afraid is going to happen right now if this goes poorly?
I think rather than worrying about himself, because Sebastian doesn't think that he can be hurt by this thing, what he and I are worried about is that it will somehow destroy D.I. Pettigrew, who he's grown strangely fond of.
Strangely fond of. I love it. Roll with sensitivity.
That's a 6.
In an echo of one of the very first scenes we had with Sebastian Melmoth, D.I. Pettigrew gives a low, feral chuckle and grabs a heavy paperweight from Harold Beale's desk and slams it repeatedly into D.I. Pettigrew, into his own skull. And as the body falls, presses the bloody paperweight into your hand and then falls at your feet, Sebastian Melmoth.
I feel a mask coming on here.
Very well. I love it. Instead, since on a 7 to 9, I do have narrative authority, I'm going to say instead, I'm going to give you just a marked by the ghost condition. And D.I. Pettigrew as the ghost just says, if you and your friends come looking for me tonight, just know I will be in the fullness of my power.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, do you have everything you need here, Mr. Melmoth? I have to say, this afternoon has been entirely useless.
I wouldn't say that an afternoon spent in such wonderful company, and I'll leave that ambiguously open, could be wasted.
Indeed. That'll conclude the day phase.
Just to warn everyone else, the mask I was going to use was the one for the threat.
Oh, very good. Which one is that?
The Mask of the Unquiet.
Oh, the Unquiet.
Each hunter narrates a flashback to their childhood when they experienced a haunting.
Oh, good. That'll be perfect to do before or during the night phase, I think, especially if you're going to go confront the ghost. So, yeah, what's the status of Janus Mask right now? What does everyone have to do?
I owe a Mask of the Past.
Okay, I love that.
I owe a Mask of the Past and a getting closer to the beast explanation.
Okay, very good.
I don't think I used one today.
The dusk phase. We are here once again in the dusk, and let's just go in order of our things we need to do here. Well, let's start with quickening. Mr. Kessler, let's see if you're going to be wolfing out or not.
I've got a +1 on this, I believe. Oh, no. I rolled a 5.
A 5. So, will you be retiring your character and introducing a 5th threat to Hargrave House in the form of the Cursed? Or will you be marking a Janus Mask?
Oh, man. I mean, it would be really fun to do that.
Oh, my God.
I feel like I need like another couple sessions out of this guy.
Yeah.
I'll use a mask. I'll use a Mask of the Past.
Very well. That would be... I've never had that happen. I've never had 5 threats.
I'm doing it for your sake.
yeah, that would be something. Fantastic. Okay. So let's keep going here. Moonlight Upon the Waves. Is that happening tonight?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's talk about Hargrave House. Let's do the ballroom. Hargrave House once hosted a ball for a group of visitors from the Fey realm. Even today, there are subtle reminders of that night in this room. What are they?
The lights, as a parting gift, the Fae enchanted all of the lights in the ballroom, so they don't run on gas, they're not candle, they're just these kind of like luminescent, maybe they're like little mushrooms where the sconces are now kind of like growing out of the walls.
Every now and then, the mirrors don't show a reflection of what's in the room. They just act almost like windows into another realm.
The room just inexplicably always smells of flowers now. It's always fragrant.
I think as you walk through the room, it almost feels like the floor isn't there. It's like you're walking on air.
That's scary.
It's like those VR things that are like that. Those are always freaky. They're always so freaky. Like, oof, they make me very anxious. Fantastic. At this point, would you like to answer a question?
I think we should, right?
Well, I think we got perhaps 2 we can do, haven't we?
I love it.
Yeah. Let's try.
It feels like we're ready for another pop at St. James's Street. And how are you feeling about the others?
We have 6 for Limehouse Lurker as well, yeah.
Yeah.
You could have a go at both, honestly.
Yeah.
Why don't we start with St. James's Street Ghost? The question, I'll remind you, how can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? And the sooner the better, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, everything that's happened in the story so far is relevant, but for purposes of the die roll, the important clues are, the capital C clues are the old love letters found in the Beale house, these bizarre entries in Mr. Beale's ledger. D.I. Pettigrew had information about previous murders at St. James's Street. This is the 15th one historically. The maid's murder, that is. A figure wearing a bridal dress and veil seen standing in a window upstairs. Noose gets thrown around her neck. The ghost whispered the name Lenore and some wedding vows. The ghost told Mr. Melmoth, "I'm not the one you want." Overheard a widow speaking about a ritual they did to get rid of their ghost. Various details. And then the ghost has an attachment to a particular red silk square. Who wants to posit a question or an answer?
I'm feeling like we've perhaps got the ghost of a jilted lover here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the old love letters definitely seem to fit with that.
Yeah.
The figure wearing the bridal dress and veil could be the actual bride, and the jilted lover is acting a revenge upon the bride who took her beloved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that also seems to fit in with the name Lenore and the wedding vows.
Yes.
Maybe Lenore is the ghost we're actually seeking, and the wedding vows are something that just vex her.
Mm-hmm. And maybe those words about, like, "I'm not the one you want" is something that the bride said even to her husband once she realized that there was some other lover out there.
Oh, so it was like the bride saying, "Clearly I'm not the one you want." Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Intriguing. You got a couple of really tough clues here. Mr. Beale's strange ledger entries. You will have to either explain it away if you can't incorporate it tightly into the theory. And then the red silk square is maybe probably a little easier to work with because there could be some symbolic connection to the former beau or whatever. I don't know. But.
Let's see. Mr. Beale's ledger has thought casting, dream whisperer, and pay gifts. I mean,
and there could be all kinds of weird entries in it too, like not just those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, perhaps it's just because his dreams, he's been getting visited by the ghost in his dreams and seeing these images presented to him.
Oh, so he can't make sense of it. Like it's all kind of like disjointed thoughts and things.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something then about like why the ghost might be visiting Harold Beale then that connects it up to the story?
Ooh. Yeah, maybe they're trying to warn him to not make the same mistake with his own wife.
Oh, interesting. why did the ghost then so violently attack Alice Beale if there's a protective notion toward Alice Beale?
Maybe he did the same thing. He jilted another lover for Alice Beale.
Yeah.
I mean, it could also be that the ghost is just like not down with happy marriages. Like,
oh, that's good. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, interesting. It's just just a bitter Betty going on here. Yeah, like,
Alternatively, it could be that Mr. Beale reminds her of her beloved and that all these weird dreams and so on have been her completely fucked up way of trying to communicate her love for him.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a possibility as well.
yeah. What if, like, for these 15 murders, like the 15th murders, like all of the murders have been of women, either like the lady of the house or a friggin'
The maid, even Constance in her way was, a victim of the ghost. Yeah.
Yeah. This would not be in any kind of police report, but like the men of the houses always have these dreams. Like they have experienced similar like visitations by this ghost. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I like that. Yeah, there's a connection there. Okay, I'm into that. So okay, well, this is really interesting then. So this ghost who was a victim, do we think that like she killed herself in life, or what happened to her then? Like, what's the connection between, there's lots of like noose imagery. There's also like this particular violence towards women in the house. Like, what do we think is going on there?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to fit that she hanged herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so, since we've seen that specifically.
If you want to make it darker,
Yeah.
maybe the bride hanged her and made it look like a suicide.
Oh.
Because we saw the bride hang herself, right? And we're saying this is the jilted lover ghost, right?
Well, no, we saw someone throw a noose around the bride's neck. That was, it was really, that was an important detail that like someone put it around her neck and then yanked her back, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I say she could have confronted them in their home about, like whatever affair or love affair that they thought was going on. I was going to say the bride couldn't take it anymore either. But if it was put around her neck from someone else, I think, yeah, maybe she tried to go after the wife.
Yes, it sounds like maybe the husband did it or something.
Yeah.
The attachment to the red silk square, and it could be something as simple as it's a bit of her favourite dress or a favourite undergarment that is associated with her that the husband, after her death, kept as memento.
Interesting.
Or a trophy if he killed her.
Oh, yeah. Dark.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Maybe she confronted them and he killed her in response because he didn't want to get caught.
It could be that's a tale as old as time, right? I mean,
Yep.
I think it all lines up pretty nicely. I mean, because especially if we add like the little like extra detail that like the previous victims' husbands or lovers or whatever had these like dream things kind of going on. It definitely indicates a pattern. The last clue, I think, is probably the one that we need to contend with, which probably speaks to the process of getting rid of the ghost, right? So what do we think the process, because that's really what it's asking. The question is, how do we get rid of her, right? So
Sebastian certainly has a suggestion, and I don't know if anyone else is going to like it.
Okay. This is a great start.
Go for it.
Maybe this poor ghost has so much rage left within her that it's not even fair to ask her to move on. Maybe she is that restless that it would be wherever she would go after this wouldn't bring her peace. Why don't we invite her to come and live with us at Hargrave House?
I mean, I guess she hasn't hurt us when we've been there.
I mean,
she's violently attacked him. Yeah, she's made several efforts. Yeah.
She did try, actually, last time. She tried a lot.
Has she proved any more dangerous to us than we have to each other?
Well,
fair point.
I do think it's interesting. There's this idea of like giving her peace through like almost like through service in a way, right? Like come to Hargrave House, find new meaning in ghostly life, right? That could be interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, move away from this house.
Yeah, the house is clearly a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, all these bad memories tied in with there. Yeah, come, have a fresh start. A whole new afterlife.
We know she can move around because one of the very first things we saw is her possessing the cook and doing all that. So.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm seeing things about you do a ritual. You got like a lock of hair in the favorite room of the house. But if this ghost has an attachment to this red silk square, then maybe we can like use that as like the material component.
The medium to communicate and make the bargain. Yeah.
And also we can use different elements from Hargrave House in the mix as well. Mm-hmm. Perhaps we each throw in a lock of our own hair and we conduct it in our favorite room of the house, whichever that is.
Negotiating with the ghost, like, look, we often have people that we need to interrogate, and if they're scared out of their minds, that puts them in a more... So I think that this can be kind of like a, like a you scratch our back. Scratch you.
It's a social proton pack, so to speak. So. I'm into it.
We'll give you lots of folks to scare.
And also, what grand old English house doesn't have a ghost in it?
You need one, yeah.
It feels very strange that we don't have one already.
Indeed.
Yes. Agreed.
I love it.
Okay, so is our ritual is going to be like transference of ghosts?
It's going to be a job offer.
Yeah.
Let's roll +2. Who wants to roll it? I think you have a good solution here.
11.
Nice. Good. Very good indeed.
Yes.
All right. So it'll be pretty straightforward. You got a good roll. The resolution will be, despite her warning of her increased power, I think it's going to be a fairly straightforward situation. Probably you don't all need to be there for it. Do you want to take a crack at the Limehouse Lurker as well?
Why not?
Yes.
Yeah.
The question here is, where do we find this thing? Where is its nest? Resolve the threat by infiltrating its nest and then destroying it or convincing it to leave. Your clues are a swarm of bats, which seem to indicate location. There's this idea of the gardenias. There's this strange detail about the third thing in a series of 3 being removed. Julius thinks that's just an ancient vampire quirk, but it might have some meaning to finding it as well. There was a Bible in Apollo's temple featuring the story of Noah being ripped out. A bar patron suggested that there were more sailors that had been killed by the lurker on the ships that pull in. And a lurker seems to have a particular affection towards the elderly, which is interesting.
So we're trying to find its nest, right?
You're trying to find its nest using all these details, yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's by the water, right? I mean, the bats already tell us it's in East London somewhere, right? Like, that's pretty straightforward.
I think so, yeah.
The story of Noah being ripped out and these deaths happening on ships
indicates an affection for ships, I would say. Yeah.
So I feel like those indicate that maybe it is, and specifically in like a large ship, that like a cargo type ship that deals in, I know this seems redundant, but shipping specifically like of animals, because that is something that they could have traveled on, and fed off of animals for a while. And like maybe that is a way that they have traveled in the past across the ocean.
If this vampire is seriously old, maybe it remembers the flood.
Yes. Yeah.
And has a fondness for boats as a result.
Yeah. Totally.
Literally antediluvian.
Yeah, exactly.
With the things in threes, perhaps one big clue to where it is if we find a wharf or a pier where there have been 3 boats moored and one has been sunk.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I like that.
I love that.
Yeah. Do we think it's on the sunk boat somehow?
It doesn't need to breathe, right?
Yeah.
Presumably not. It'd be a perfect hiding place, right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can imagine also like a pocket, like a one part of the ship, there's like a pocket of air.
Yeah. It's got his little coffin tucked in there or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Also, because it's small, if it is a coffin-dwelling type vampire, it wouldn't it would need a very big space to put the coffin, right? 'Cause it's a little vampire, so, yeah.
Is the ship called the Gardenia?
Look at that.
Nice.
Look at that.
Love it.
So great. So great. Well, then what about this clue about the elderly?
Did we decide it's sunken or not sunken?
I like the idea of it being sunken. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I think maybe the elderly, like having heard tales of the ship, go out there to pay their respects and like throw gardenias into the water.
Oh, that's interesting. There's like an old wives' tale or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if it's not all the elderly, but specifically like the elderly from a particular part of the world where this vampire originally like was from or something?
Oh.
Or has some sort of like characteristic that is like reminiscent of something from the vampire's past.
Yeah, maybe it traveled here on this ship originally along with a lot of people from this place, and only the elderly remember that.
Oh, I'd like that.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's really good. Because those people would be much older now, right? Like, so they were survivors or whatever, and they venerate and protect. They even know that it's there, because that's pretty good. Oh, what a good theory. This is really good. So you've got +2. Who wants to roll it?
I don't think I've succeeded on a single roll today, but let's go. Okay.
Now's your time.
Let's go.
What is it?
It's bad. It's a 5 total. It was a 2 and a 1 +2.
Oh no. Here are your options.
Yeah.
Your options are you can all mark Janus Mask to bump it up to a 7-9, making it correct. Or you get your clues back and I make a hard reaction in response.
I vote mask.
We already owe so much. We got 1. We could always revisit this.
We're going to have to take a hard thing though right now. That's the thing that I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big old open door and I will walk through it. So
Yeah.
I mean... Oh, gosh.
But everybody has to agree. So
And we can use any mask?
if the lurker one was still available, you could use that one. It's not though. Otherwise, past or future.
Okay.
Jason, can I assume that I'm not allowed to use past for this as well?
You cannot because you have those closed doors.
Yep.
So it's even slightly tougher consideration for Ms. Archer.
Yeah. What do y'all want to do? You want to all do a mask or?
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
I vote mask, yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do it.
Okay, so it's correct. Because it's a mid-result, it won't be as easy to resolve as the ghost will be. We'll find out in a moment, but you have a kind of a choice. Are you going to destroy it or convince it to leave? That's kind of the big choice you have to make here. But let's keep going with our phase. Well, okay, so what is everyone doing tonight? I won't be interjecting with my interruptions and nonsense this night phase. You all can do whatever you'd like tonight. It is yours.
Don't trust you.
I'm going swimming, so.
You could swim down to that boat.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, interesting.
You are very well positioned to go down there.
Yeah, I'm going swimming. I'm going to try and find that sailor again, and we'll see.
Okay. Ms. Archer, what's your plan?
I'm going to go to Cremore Gardens and try to meet up with Ms. Welk.
Oh, so the ghost and the vampire are presently unattended to. Mr. Melmoth, what are you going to do?
I suppose he's going to go back to St. James's Street. As we need someone to make the job offer to the ghost, Sebastian will quite happily take that on.
Yeah.
Persuasive?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know if we needed to conclude it in the night. I'll go visit the vampire then as well.
Yeah, they have to be resolved in the night phase. You can't resolve them in the day.
I will, yes, as I swim, I will go do that.
Okay, you're going to head to the vampire. Mr. Kessler, what are you going to do?
I'm going to play billiards at the hotel and try to learn more about what Winslow Taggart is doing in London.
I love it. Okay, this feels like it feels like we got a good night phase set up and ready to go. Whoever would like to begin, let us know which mask you're doing and then proceed.
I'm going to combine narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the high level of privilege you were born into and narrate a flashback to your youth showing what an arrogant, willful brat you were. They seem related.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene is going to take place in the grandest bathroom in the estate, and Oswald is going to be sitting in this massive claw-footed bathtub. It's almost like a swimming pool. It's so large. And his father has commissioned all of the local shipbuilders to construct miniature sailboats so that Oswald can float them in the tub. And, well, he's already kind of seeming like an arrogant brat, but I think what made it worse is that he was having the house servants create waves in the tub and like use washcloths to simulate the motion of the waves. And the boats that either capsized or that didn't meet his standard, he took them out and smashed them against the porcelain tile floor.
Ooh.
What a little shit.
And I'm done.
So this is narrate a flashback to your young adulthood that shows the first time you met the artist who fell in love with you. Sebastian, as a young man, well, it's not even that he discovered that he liked being the centre of attention, but he just always was. It was such a natural thing that it just seemed logical to capitalize on that, and so he developed an interest in the theatre. In particular, he tried his hand at being an actor, and this turned out to be a terrible idea for any number of reasons, one of which is he's entirely too self-obsessed to actually be an actor, in that he can't really play any roles. He can only be himself. He's too vain to bother learning lines or try putting on a performance. But perhaps more disruptively, every play that he took part in just kind of fell apart because the other actors couldn't stop staring at him, the audience would stop caring about the actual play and just be enraptured by his presence. And to some extent, I suppose he could call them a success because the audience largely went away happy, but as theatrical events, they were disasters. But despite this, there was a playwright who worked with this theatrical company, a young man called Charles Beauchamp, who had written a number of fairly light romances. They were imaginative works, but nothing too spectacular. And he announced one day to Sebastian that he would like Sebastian to accept the position of being his muse, that Beauchamp would write a play inspired by Sebastian himself, a play that would capture the sheer magnificence of his presence and turn it into something durable, turn it into a work of lasting art. And that play became The Yellow Orchid.
I'll do two right now. I'll start with A Mask of the Past, which is narrate a flashback to when you were a young child playing with your fellow Selkies and sea creatures.
Oh,
It's so cute. So we go back to, yes, when Moyra was very young in a Selkie form with, let's say, another Selkie and a siren as well, who they were playing with. Their names were Alpin, Dorsh, and Dorsha. And they were playing a game where they were going to go try and find and catch as many water crickets on the surface of the water as they could. And Moyra was able to catch like 20 or so of them. And then out of nowhere, they saw the biggest, most massive like cloud of crickets on the surface, and they all go racing towards it. But Dorsha was always faster than all of them. And Alpin and Moyra will never forget seeing their first time a fishing net was used.
Ooh.
As they watched their dear friend consumed, captured, and taken from them. It happened so quickly. In mere minutes, the water was still again, with there being no record of anything having happened there, except for the very clear scar that it left on Moyra's heart.
Oh.
And so I want to go into the second mask, which isn't of the past, but a mask of the future that is the darkened threshold, in which I narrate a scene. I mean, could these still have happened in the past? Yeah, okay. Where I narrate a scene where I ruthlessly stop someone who suspects my true nature. And I think years after this, Moyra would constantly try to find this boat that was marked by an albatross on it that had come and set this net out. And after years of searching and searching, kind of making herself a little known in the process, coming to the surface probably more than she should have, finds this sailor and finds his home on the beachfront and goes into the home in the dead of night and takes the waters from the oceans and starts to slowly flood the room, but not before she has taken one of the harpoons in this house and harpooned this man to the bed and surrounded him in netting, and then allows these waters to fill and flood the entire home as she watches him drown to his death. And then she goes home and, having done her task, but that is her ruthless, darkened threshold.
I'll do these in what would have been chronological order. So, first thing is a mask of the past, where I will narrate a flashback to my early teenage years when I tried to live a normal life, but a family member put me in my place. So her childhood, much of her childhood into her early teenage years, for that, Viola's days were fairly kind of routine. They kind of had a schedule. So during the day, her brother would go off and train, and then she would get something that's closer to what you would consider a more traditional education for a woman of that era, and then they would do things with their family in the evenings. At night, they shared a room, and so they would sit there and they would share secrets. They would whisper secrets. This is when her brother started kind of like showing her some of the moves that he was learning as well. Viola wasn't allowed out often, but when she was, one day she saw like a flyer for something that I assume is very much like Cremorne Gardens, a kind of like a carnival situation with like rides and fun. And so she goes back and she tells her brother about it. She and her brother hatch a plan. Okay, we're going to sneak out and we're going to go experience this carnival because we never get to have fun together. So they do that, and they get to spend a little time at that carnival, but then they are confronted by one of their uncles who drags them back to their house, where they're brought before their grandmother, who gives them just the worst beating that either of them will ever receive, and is scolding them about like their responsibility and their obligation, and that they need to like be serious about like righting the wrongs of the past, and just kind of going on and just like furious at the both of them. So they never snuck out again, and they became very, very good at hiding the things that they didn't want to have discovered by the rest of the family. And then it would be many years later, after her brother was killed, and then as the only remaining person of her generation, she was forced into the role of hunter, which would lead to the Darkened Threshold mask, where I'm going to narrate a scene where I have killed an innocent for the sake of the hunt. Her family is a very big believer in learning on the job. Your personal experience trying to like capture the beast or hunt any threat is going to be better than anything that anyone could teach you about how to track and how to hunt. Part of that too is they don't want to provide any real support during it because they want all of the hunters to get really, really, really comfortable with the idea that sometimes there will be casualties. There will be like people that will die who are innocent, and that is just the cost of doing business. The beast is a shape changer, and that makes it hard to hunt sometimes, because until you know what you're looking for, it can be very easy to mistake just a random person as this threat. And so many times she has accidentally killed just random people because she's thought they were the beast. And I think the time that affected her the most, she's mostly numbed herself out, but there was one time when she went back and forth about, is this child actually the beast? And finally came to the conclusion, better safe than sorry, killed the child, found out that the child was not. And so has kind of like had to harden herself even further because of things like that.
I love it. I love it. Very well, then. I think we'll save the Mask of the Unquiet for the extended night phase, since we'll have plenty of time for that. And I think it'll also be kind of thematically fun, since we'll be confronting the ghost as well.
Thank you for listening to Ain't Slayed Nobody. For ad-free episodes, lots of bonus content, and special programming, please join our wolf pack at patreon.com/ain'tslayed, or subscribe to Ain't Slayed Nobody Plus at Apple Podcasts. Nothing helps the show more than becoming a subscriber. See our show notes for full credits, and help us grow by posting friendly reviews and spreading the word to your friends and followers. Thank you, and good luck out there.